two have been brought back together in the fullness, in a whole. Remember how I've been telling you guys about how opposites, you know, balancing opposites is creative energy. That's how you create. That's what makes you the creator, by balancing opposites, you see. So that makes you whole. When you're only dealing with one half, you're only dealing with half of a situation. You always have to bring the opposite together to get the full concept of what's going on here. See, so that is what that indicates. That's what that indicates. So if there's no more questions, you know, on that, then we can start the lesson part, which is this. We're going to be working on the natal chart today. Okay. As I was saying, I think earlier, I really do want you guys to sign up for these workbooks that I'm setting up, because it's going to give you every tool that you need to start understanding these energies, and start charting these energies, so that you can get an understanding and become a participant, you know, in healing Mother Earth. Because that is our job, to heal Mother Earth. But we have to understand these energies before we can do that. So in this workbook, you know, I'm going to have everything you need to begin doing that understanding from your own personal perspective, because I am going to put a computer-generated chart, you know, your chart in there. And I'm going to leave the transit area blank so that you can, in pencil, I'm going to have an ephemeris for the rest of the year in the back. So you can go look up and see what these planets are doing. You can position them on the chart and see how they are affecting you. And once you start charting this and you start seeing this and see how these energies are unfolding, then you'll know how to use this energy. You know, I want you to really start setting up your altars. I want you to start doing your rituals. And this is only a step to get us to understand, because once we start understanding how to use those energies, how to direct those energies, you won't even need the rituals anymore. You won't even need the altars anymore, you know, because it'll be a mind thing. You know, you'll start adapting to using your mind to focus in that energy in the way that it needs to be focused in order to heal the earth. You know, right now we're not even nowhere there. We're not focused on it. You know, we're not even focused on that. We don't even know we have that ability. You know, we don't even know we have that power. But this is the reason I want to give you the basics of astrology. I'm not trying to get all complicated. I'm not trying to get all technical. You know, that's what I'm not here for. I'm just trying to give you a perspective on what it all means and what you can do, you know, to be an active participant in this. So sign up for this workbook, because what's going to happen is that, like I said, I'm going to have the chart in there, and I'm going to have the ephemeris in there, so you can go back and then say if you see something, and everything else is going to be in there. On each planet, there's going to be a page on each planet describing that planet. What does it do? You know, what is its influence? Each sign, you know, information, you know, with oppositions, you know, describing everything that we cover on our agenda here. Is going to be describing those things, so that if you forget, if you don't understand, you can go back and refer to it and understand what it means. Say if you see, like I said, if you see Jupiter conjunction or just blocked with your sun, and you know that's something that's dealing personally with you, and you're like, well, what does Jupiter mean? You can go to the page of Jupiter, see what it means, and see what it's doing to you. Jupiter is the regenerator, the transformer. If you see Jupiter touching any part of you, then something's being torn down so that it can be rebuilt at a higher level. You know, so that's the regenerator. So if you see Jupiter conjunct with your sun, that means you personally are being, there's a lot about you that's psychologically, that's being torn down to be rebuilt. Okay? Yes.
Pluto was the regenerator. I'm confused.
Didn't I say Pluto?
You said Jupiter.
Jupiter, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jupiter. Yeah, good. 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 You're catching it. I can teach it. Good. Good. I should do that intentionally some more. See who's really learning. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So now we're going to start. Does everybody have an agenda? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Did you enjoy your dinner?
I need one more shot, Myra.
Wake up.
One more chart. Now, okay, we're in week 4. Week 4, natal or birth chart, okay? And you'll see number 1, I have date, place, and time of birth, okay? Those are the ingredients we need in order to do your chart. At the time of your birth, at the very time of your birth and where you were at, the certain planets were sitting in certain constellations, certain astrological constellations, and these energies, all of these energy rays converged together, came together to make you who you are at that exact time and moment and place of your birth. This is how they converged together. Say, like I said, Pluto was sitting here, Jupiter was sitting here, Saturn there, the Sun there, and how those rays, what they were sending out, and that pinpoint where they came together at your time, at the moment and the place of your birth, is your inner, your inside. That's your spiritual being, because that is the energy rays that was stemming from the universe. Okay? And this is what we're working on now, your natal or your birth chart. You think the fingerprints have nothing on your natal chart, Yes.
Oh, that's this. What if you were born, let's say, in Australia, on let's say let's say November 21st, and you moved to America? Did that change anything?
Yes. I mean, one of the things I haven't mentioned is we have what we call a progress chart. Okay, we're just going to do the basics. So, the progress chart is, in other words, it indicates. See, as you're being influenced, as the planets circle your natal chart, influence you, and you grow from that. Okay, and what your progress chart shows is. Like if I was to pick today and look at my progress chart, it would show me where my signs would be sitting now as a result of my growth. Okay, that's what you call your progress chart. This this is how astrologers look into the future. So what happens is that in figuring that progress chart, you have to indicate if you've moved from the place that you were born at, because that does, change the direction. Yeah, it does change. I mean, you can cast a chart to figure out what area of the country is better for my health. Yeah. 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 You can cast a chart to figure out what area is best for my career. Where am I more fortuitous at? It can show you all of that.
So you're saying that's progressive astrology?
Yes. Yes, that's why it's called a progress chart. Yes. Yes. See? So, yeah, everything counts. Everything counts. Now, And like I said, the first thing that you look at is the sun. Remember? Let's put my big circle back up here. And look at it like this. We are many planets, okay? We're just many planets. We're actually the form of Mother Earth, you know. Whatever it is that the Earth is receiving, whatever it is that the Earth is sending out, you know, we're the ones that, you know, bring that into form, okay? So we're like a mini planet. You know, remember when I showed you us in the womb and how the signs lined up in that circle? That circle, you know, we're like a little planet, okay? And so that's, you know, but that sacred circle. It's always talking about that sacred circle. So when you look at this circle, when you look at this chart, that's what you're looking at. You're really just looking at you as a planet, okay? Now, what happens is, you know, we went over the houses. We have the planets represents what, you know, what is influencing you. We went through each planet and we told you what type of influence they bring you. They are what is influencing you. The signs is telling you how, the method. You know, when you look at what is influencing, you look at the sign to say, well, how do I deal with it? You know, how is it influencing me? So how do I deal with it? You know, and then the houses, which is these little pies, represents where that's unfolding at in my life. Each one of these houses represents an area of you. Personal actions, first house. Values. And what do I value? Moral and materialistic. What are my values? Understanding, education, communication. The third house. Okay? Fourth house is the mother. You know, it's your heritage, your roots. You know, this is what takes you back to our ancestors. Okay? So if you're doing a ritual and you want to do something with the ancestors, you might want to check out that fourth house energy. You know, Cancer energy. Okay? And the fifth house is your house of creativity. It's where you have your children. It's where you recreate yourself. This is how the ego, it only means, the only way it can be used productively is an identifier as the children of the Creator. This represents children. It represents the creative energy. And we are supposed to be able to, it represents the ego. And we're supposed to be able to identify ourselves as the children of the Creator. Okay? Creative energy. The sixth house is your house of health and service. You know, how do I serve? Okay? Seventh house, again, is your house of partnership and marriage. It's any one-on-one relationship is a partnership. Any one-on-one. Okay? Eighth house is your house of bonding, joint resources. How do we come together in a way that's going to be a force to be reckoned with? That's the house Scorpio rules. You know, it's the house of intensity. Okay? Ninth house is the house of expansion. It's the house of spiritual wisdom. The 10th house is your house of the community, the public. And it's interesting. Now, you know we went over this before, but this is the house that Saturn, Capricorn, those energies rule. And it's the 10th house of the public. Now, we're looking at this as the community of the world. And we're looking at Capricorn as the administrator or the leader. and we're looking at that Saturn energy as our energy, what is that telling you? What is that telling you sitting up here in the house of the community of the world? We're the leaders, you know. We're the administrators. We're the ones that should be running the show here, okay? And it's prophesied that we will be again, as we had before. And that's coming up very soon.
Quick question. I have like Aries in the 10th house. What exactly?
Does that indicate?
Yeah.
You're a real warrior. And see, those are both cardinal qualities. Aries is a cardinal sign, and the 10th house is a cardinal house. That shows that you're an extremely powerful leader, okay, in the community, okay, who is going to, will not shriek, will not shirk when it comes to getting in there and doing some real battling with that Aries energy. Did anybody see the news about the guy? Remember the last homework assignment when I was telling you to bring me an indication of Mars going into the sign of Aries? Well, did you see the brother in Pittsburgh? Okay, that was pure Aries energy, because it was coming through a black man. See, that Mars energy was coming through. He went to war. He got aggressive. Gunshots. And then he told, I don't know if they reported it on all, but he told one sister ran up on him with the gun, and he said, "Don't worry, sisters, I'm only shooting white folks." That's what he said. I'm only shooting white people. See? So here we going again. So in his mind, I mean, other people might think, oh, how horrible. But in his mind, he was fighting for justice, right?
Oh, right on.
That's that full, the opposites. We're bringing those full principles together. The opposite of Aries is Libra. So if you're going to fight, pull the whole concept together, bring its opposite, fight for justice. Libra. See? And so that was a pure, you can't find probably a more pure indication of that Mars, Aries energy, than when that brother went and shot up those white folks.
You didn't have enough bullets if you had.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, me and my roommate was saying, we was like, go to a hockey match or something.
Notice he didn't shoot
You're gonna get just as much for 5 as 500. You might.
That's exactly
Ooh,
right.
boy, if somebody see this tape,
I know,
I'm gonna
also.
That's a hockey game. But seriously, that's what time it is. What time it is? Yes.
And I don't know if anybody saw the awards last night when Prince got up there and when he accepted a Soul Train award.
Yeah.
I mean, because Prince is like,
Yes.
he reminds me of Amethyst a lot. He's deep anyway, but people play him.
Uh-huh.
And basically, when he got up there, he told them to remain standing. And he basically told them, because he said, y'all look around. And he kept on saying them. He kept on telling them that, we're like, what did he say? We're gifted people, but we always give thanks or show gratitude. How we get up there and say, pray, thank God and stuff. But the main thing he was saying is that it's like our talents is the majority in this world, but we're a minority in their world.
That's right.
Telling them like, look, y'all better wake up.
Wake
but
up.
They kept on showing that. They kept on showing that part.
And then he
Because
said,
he got really deep.
yeah, and then he said, look around. Are you the minority?
Yeah.
He said that?
Yeah.
Prince, I mean, and people were like,
And right after on VH1, they had his concert on, and he was dropping more signs.
More, really?
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm shocked,
Yeah.
he was.
I am. I'm surprised. I didn't know, because, so. But anyway, that is, that you cannot find no more pure example, and this is what time it is. And you're going to start seeing those things happening, and especially the more we move closer to Taurus, because that's the physicalness of it, And each time that, like I said, each time that sun activated a leg of that fixed cross, started in Leo, Then when it hit Scorpio, then we had the fire, the heat waves. It was heat waves. And we had it went into Scorpio. We had the floods in the waters and stuff. And then we had the Aquarius, the tornadoes, the air, representing the air. And now we're moving into Taurus. That's the last leg of that fixed cross. It's going to be, you know, some upheavals that has to do with the earth, the physical part. The physical part is really going to show itself at that time. And a demonstration as what this guy did when he went off and shot up all these 5 white people. Yes.
Three.
What's going on
Three.
in Mozambique with all the floods there? I understand some more.
Yeah, see, and that's another. Remember when we talked about those tornadoes that hit the black town and the white town?
Right.
You know, there was a time when it was just hitting the white towns. There was a time when it was just hitting the white towns. And remember when I took you back and told you about the Olympics, when they did that big ritual at the Olympics, and they were really looking at me funny at my job at that time because I you know, being a star, I looked up and I saw a blue moon coming up. A blue moon that Friday, the night of the bomb, it was a blue moon. See? And so I'm like, ooh, they doing all this ritual into Zeus, you know. Zeus would be proud, you know. And they're flaunting it, and there's a blue moon coming up, you know. That's the universal energy. When you start looking at the planets and the stars and stuff, then you're looking at the universal energy. You're not looking at, you know, something they've created here. And I'm like, a blue moon? Sure enough, there was a bomb on the blue moon. See? And it killed one black lady. And everybody's like, well, why? Why? I'm like,
Supposed to be there.
you're not supposed to. This is not your party. Y'all, we have to get out of Dodge. This ship is going down. They only hanging on by what they can sap from us. You know? So you all up in here. And you were made an example of. You were shown, it was shown, get out of Dodge. This is not your party. That was a warning. Okay? We had time to heed that warning. But when this tornado hit, and then the same thing, when the tornadoes was going around hitting, the white people. As a matter of fact, I did a ritual that, you know, a week after I did my ritual, and I was asking for restitution because I'm a part of the Black Wall Street, okay? That's my family, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I did a ritual, and a week later, when all them hundreds of tornadoes hit Tulsa, okay? And I did a ritual specifically for that. I didn't direct it how. I just said, I want some type of restitution. Next thing I know, boom. So this is the power we have. We really have this power. We just got to discover it and start utilizing it.
Right.
You know. So anyway, the black town and the white town, that was a signal.
Yep.
That was a signal that time is up. No more.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter about the color now. If you haven't got your energy right, you know, it's time for Mother Earth to take her sacred place. And all those that are bullshitting, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You know? So that's what, I mean, you asked me about the floods and everything. That's just, you know, that's just another indicator that you're not doing right. I don't care if you are black. And see, I'm going to tell you something. Black people are going to get hit worse than the white folks. The white folks are not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. They're trying to survive. You know, they know their time is up. They know that they're about extinct. You know? So they're doing what they need to try to stay around. You know, we're the ones that's being stupid. You know, we're the ones that's really screwing up things. So, where was I? Okay, the 10th house. That's how it goes, you know. The 10th house is the house of the community. It's the house of career, your public, all of that. And then you have your 11th house, That's your house of friends, group activities, and your aspirations. Okay? And the 12th house is your house of the subconscious. That's where you get in touch with your subconscious. Okay? And like I said, and where your planets were sitting, now I'm going to use my chart because of course I know my chart, and, you know, so first thing that you want to look at is your sun. Okay? 17 degrees. So, that means that all that means is that during the time of my birth, the sun was sitting 17 degrees in the constellation in the sign of Capricorn. Okay?
Do the degrees go this way or this way?
It's going this way. Okay? The planets, and see, when we start talking about the transits, see what happens is the transit is going to be circling you or this earth or this mini earth. The transit is going to be circling that, and as they circle, they're triggering those planets. Okay? Now the planets will be going this way, but remember the earth is also spinning this way. Okay? So it's like, and remember I told you that like your homework assignment, I told you that the houses are stationary, you know, so this is going to represent, there's going to be, what happens is that the signs, as the earth circles, that's going to move the signs counter to the way the planets are going, okay? But the houses is the only thing that just stays the same, okay? This will always be your personal actions, this will always be your values, you know, your partnership, you know, that's always going to be like that, okay? Then the next thing you look at is your moon, you know, and mine was sitting here, 9 degrees, but it was sitting in Gemini, okay? This is Capricorn. Okay. And see, you start putting that together, okay? The next thing you want to look at is my rising sign. That's this line right here, remember? It's the rising sign. And what was rising, the energy that was rising over this horizon line at the time of my birth was Aries. So, and the number, it was 13 degrees on that line. That's what gives me a natural chart. Because once you find out what your rising sign is, then that's what goes in the first house. See, that's the energy that goes in the first house. And then you bring it on around. See, since mine was Aries, then the next sign, Taurus, would fall in my second house, Gemini, you know, but like I told you, there'll be some overlap. There'll be some overlap.
Okay,
Yes.
so if it was Capricorn, you would put Capricorn in Aries in the first house. If your riser was, if it started in Capricorn, you would put Capricorn in number 1. That's what you're saying?
No. It depends on my rising sign. The time that I was born,
Okay.
at the time that I was born, what energy was rising over that horizon line?
You said Aries?
Aries.
Okay.
Okay? But my Capricorn sun, it was sitting in my 10th house.
Okay.
You understand? Really? You don't
No,
look
I
like-
wasn't looking at that. I was saying what you're trying to say. Until like if your rising sign was Gemini, then you would start at
Oh,
Gemini with that
absolutely.
as an Aries.
That's right. That's right. Gemini would go there, and then the sign that follows Gemini would go in the second house, and you would follow it on around like that. Okay, and that's why I say I have a natural chart, because Aries was what was
Really
rising,
falls in the first
and it
house.
falls in the first house. So that means
Okay.
all of the natural energies will fall in their natural houses.
You got into 12 house though, right?
What's that?
Aries shouldn't
No,
be
it's
in the
the-
first house and not.
What happened is that it was the Aries energy started here. By the time I was born, it was like 13 degrees. What's on this line, this horizon line, is what, when it crossed over this horizon line into my first house, the energy of Aries had already, like I told you, there's going to be some overlap, okay? So it was at 13 degrees when it crossed that horizon line, see? So it did start in my 12th house, but for me, it's only important to me as to where it was when it hit that line right there, okay? And that's why my moon is Gemini, but it's in the 2nd house, see? Because Gemini normally rules this house here, but most of my Gemini energy is here, but it started over here. It did not cross over, the moon had not crossed over that line, but it was in the sign of Gemini before it crossed over the line, okay?
Question.
Uh-huh.
The higher the degree, does that mean the higher the energy or less energy?
Well, all it is counting down, because remember when I told you each planet, each sign goes 30 degrees before it passes into another sign. See, so all that's saying is that like here is 13, and somewhere along here it got up to 29, 30, and then it changed over. That's when it changed over into Aries. See, okay. That's all that really indicates. Okay, and that'll come into play. The degrees will come into place when we start dealing with our transit planets, you see. Then we'll see, that'll help us to understand which planets are interacting with what, see. Because you have to be within 10 degrees. Within 10 degrees of each other, they're starting the communication process, see. But like within 3 degrees, they're really, that's what you call a conjunction. It's like we're walking hand in hand. We're doing the same thing. The energy is influencing you in the same way that you have inherently in you. See, so within 10 degrees they start communicating, and then when they get the same degrees, it's like the peak. You have to look at the moon, the timing of the moon. You have the waxing, the full, and then the waning. That's just how those energies interact.
Yeah, can two houses have the same sign?
Mm-hmm. Like I told you, there'll be some overlap. That's what I meant by overlap.
Okay.
Uh-huh. But the house that's sitting on the cups, remember we talked about this in lesson 2-3? The one that's the sign that's sitting on the house cups is the one that rules that house or flavors that house. So it's the stronger energy. It's the prevailing energy. But when you have some residual energy in there, that energy is, you just have access to that energy. It's something you can pull in, and what you're trying to do, you can pull that in, but the stronger energy is the one that's sitting on the line that rules the house, that flavors the houses. Okay?
I have a quick question. Our homework assignment last week, or for this week, was to color in for the elements.
Right.
Now, are we supposed to go by the natural chart or by our chart?
Remember, because this doesn't change.
Okay, good.
This is stationary. The houses are stationary.
Okay.
And what I wanted you to do was to color in the energies of the houses,
Yeah. Okay.
as they represent. Okay.
Like the first one should be red, right?
Right.
Aries. Yeah.
She just making sure.
I got
Last
it.
week.
I had to make sure too.
I did my homework.
Yeah, and then you see how it kept repeating?
Yeah, it
Yes,
is. Four.
It did.
Okay. And so that just means the first house, fire, which indicates passion, which indicates that this is a house for passion. This is your personal actions. This is when you take action. So that's passion. That's fire. That's why fire is in that house, because that's that is your passion. And like we said, this is conception. This is conception.
And then that is.
And then the second house is your physical. That's Earth. That's Taurus. That's your physical body coming into form. The third house is Gemini. That's your mental capacity coming into form, and then you're born through your fourth house.
Right. Okay.
You're born through your fourth house. See, so this here represents the passion. And remember, we said Mars represents that sexual energy. The fire, the heat, the passion for conception. Okay, and then another thing, Mars is your most physical planet. Do you know what I mean by that? No. Okay. You know, all of this we're talking about energies, energy rays, right? This is like our spiritual self. You know, this is what's going on inside. You know, that's what the astrological chart do, is exposes what's going on inside. As far as the planet's influence goes, Mars represents the most physical of the planets. In other words, it dictates our physical body more than any of the other planets. Okay, but this is all still energy. But that, like, whatever sign your Mars is sitting in, is the sign that will indicate what you physically look like. You understand? More so than your sun. See? Say if you've got a Aries Mars, then you probably got a masculine built, you know, or you're athletic, you know, you're very athletic. You know, wherever your Mars is sitting, that indicates your physical body. Okay.
How does the actual planet Mars play into that?
That's what I'm saying, Mars. That's what, you know. Oh, you mean which one, the transit or? No, the planet Mars.
Mhm.
Yeah, that indicates your most physical body.
Would that be, I understand what you're saying, would that be an indication of why the Caucasian is always trying to find out what's going on Mars?
One of the reasons that is true is because, like I said, Mother Earth is trying to become a sacred planet. You know, there's other sacred planets like Venus and Saturn. They can't get there. They can't get to the sacred planets. They can't.
So they can get to Mars.
They can get to Mars.
They go where they go.
Mars is not a sacred planet. You know, so they can go there. They can't go where it's sacred at. See? So Mars is the closest they can get. Okay. Now, okay, then after, like I said, the rising Aries, we got the Capricorn Sun that fell in my 10th house. Okay. And we've got the Gemini Moon, which fell in my 2nd house. Okay. With my sun in the 10th house, it just means what I tell you, that where your sun is at is what you came in this life to focus on. Okay? You know, so I came in to focus on the public. You know, which is news to me because, you know, I was always very shy, you know, growing up and stuff. I never would have thought that the public would be, you know, but that just goes to show you know, but the public, that means that, and an administrator. Capricorn represents the administrator. So that means that I will be an administrator in the public domain. You understand? Because the house tells you where. And we're talking about the public, the career, the community. And we're talking about Capricorn, which is the administrator. So I will be administrating in public. You get that? See how you put those together?
So how did your son end up there? Sorry.
It's just where the sun was sitting.
When
I was born, it was
Okay.
sitting 17 degrees in the sign of Capricorn, or the constellation of Capricorn. Okay? At the time of my birth. And then the same with the moon and the sign rising. Okay. And then after that would be Mercury. And my Mercury, since what sign?
Which one said you
Where?
Sagittarius.
All right. Somebody's learning here. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you something. Me and details, we don't mix. We do not mix. You know what I'm saying? I can be in a car and ride around in that car all day and get out and can't tell you what color it is. But ask me the meaning of life. What did you talk about? You know, what's the universe saying? Oh, I'm all there. You know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons for that is because my Mercury sits in its opposite. See, remember the opposite? Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, 3rd house. Opposite that is the 9th house. So your Mercury represents your conscious mind. Okay? So what's happening here, that represents the details. You know, the education, communication, bringing together all this information. Okay? And see, what happens is that you take that and you bring it into its opposite, Sagittarius, which is philosophical thinking. You know, it means it takes those information, those details, and take it into a spiritual wisdom. See, gives you the bigger picture. So that's why I lose the small details, because it's like spread it out. This is the house of expansion. You know, so I can look at the bigger picture, but it's hard for me to focus on those small details because it's like Mercury's in its fall. You know, it's in its opposite. So it's in its opposite. So, you know, I can grab those details, but they automatically go into a bigger scheme. See?
I have a quick question.
Okay.
What causes Mercury to go into retrograde?
Well, yeah. Well, not just Mercury.
Oh, that happens.
Mercury's not. Yeah, Mercury is just more frequent with Mercury than any other planet. But they are. Mars is one. With just last year, around March, Mars went into retrograde, and that happens. That's an unusual thing. That happens like every 2.5 years, and that means we had a lot of friction because Mars is that aggression and that fighting, and what it was doing was exposing things. When it went into retrograde, it was exposing things that had to be exposed, which was causing a lot of fighting between people because, you know, that had to come out when Mars went into retrograde. They all go, but you know, the sun and the moon go. But yeah, but they don't. But Mercury goes more frequently, and so when Mercury goes into retrograde, though, and it usually goes into retrograde for about 3 weeks or so. I think you said we're in one now, right? And that's the time when Mercury rules, like I said, communication. So things like and short-term transportation. So those are the times when your cars will break down. You know, those are the times when your fax machine messes up, your answering machine don't take its messages, you know. And they say don't sign contracts because you'll have to redo it all. You have to redo it all. So that's another thing you can look at. When Mercury's in retrograde, try to stay away from finalizing things. That's the time to go back over things, to review things, you know. But don't finalize them until after that's out of retrograde. And what it means, and when it goes into retrograde, it doesn't actually happen, but you know, like we're always talking about the technical details of things. When planets go retrograde, it's like they stop. You know, like I told you, they're circling, they're always moving. Well, it's like they stop, they slow down, they stop, and then they start going backwards. Okay? You know, and then they'll stop again, and they'll start moving back forward again. And they say when you're like I have what's that? My Uranus, which is here, is retrograde. Okay, so they say that when you look at a person's natal chart and they got more than 2 retros, give that person a second look because there's something special going on there. Because it's like you're being painted with the energy brush 3 times. When the planet moves forward, it stops, goes back, and then moves forth again. So there's extra emphasis being put on that area.
How many you say more than what?
More than 2 in your chart. It's like there's a special significance to that. Yes.
What does that retrograde sign look like? Does that look kind
This
of
is Nar. Like when you look in your ephemeris, and we're gonna get into this next week. I got, you know, some ephemeris. I got a March that I'm gonna bring and pass out. But when you look in your ephemeris, see if I can show you. See.
Kind of like a medicine.
Yeah.
It looks like an RS.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. When you see that at the end of there, that means it's retro. Okay? And when you're looking at it in ephemeris, it'll be at the top of the column. You know, you'll see a little R in there. That means that planet is retrograde. And sometimes they'll shade it in. You know, that means that planet is in retrograde.
What if you don't have?
And see, remember what I said about opposites? You probably do. Remember what I said about opposite signs? Okay, when that means that when it's moving forth, it's in a physical rotation. Okay, but when it's going retro, then what is it in?
Spiritual.
This is a spiritual rotation. See, it's in a spiritual rotation. So that just means special emphasis, special oomph is put on that area. So there's some significant reason why that is your energy brush is being painted 3 times in that area, because that's gonna, you're really gonna have to step up to the plate in that area for whatever reason, but you'll find out.
Wouldn't that also mean that you would need like more work with yourself for that? Because it's like going back. So would it be like trials?
Right. It actually it's working more inside. You understand?
Because going back.
Right. It's spiritual. So that means that what's going on is being, you're getting some internal. You're getting some internal lessons. Okay. And it's going to take you out of that physical and make you go inside.
Okay, so your retrograde is in Cancer.
It's Uranus is my planet. The planet.
Your planet, Uranus, was in retrograde.
Right, when I was born.
So the energy dealing with Uranus and Cancer would mean that it's
And
going to be dealing with like your nature part, the mother.
Right. See, my nurture, my home,
Okay.
my family, and which is exactly what happens. See, Uranus, remember, is the rebellious energy. It's rebellion. And this is opposite what? My son.
Right.
So what it's saying is, and this is in my house of the home. Okay? So what it's saying is somewhere, I'm going to break away. I'm going to rebel when it comes to my home, and move out and, come more in, which happened because I left my home, Omaha, Nebraska, and just came here, and started all over. So I left, I made that change. I rebelled from my home and moved away.
Okay.
See, that's what it indicates. And there was a significant reason for me to do that. It was a significant reason for me, to end up here in Atlanta, and
Yep.
yeah, because it all connecting those two opposites. One's the public, one's the home. See. So, and okay, Mercury, and then after that is Venus. And my Venus is also in Sagittarius, but it fell into my 8th house. Okay? But it's in Sagittarius. Okay? Okay, don't forget, you guys. I told you now. It's all this. Maybe what I should have did was see.
See, no, you got Sagittarius up there twice.
I know.
Oh,
I know what I'm doing here. 13 degrees. 20 degrees. See, each cups, this here is 15 degrees. This is 6 degrees. This here is 28 degrees. And see, this is also 28 degrees. This here is, and then you'll start seeing, these are going to repeat. Opposites are going to be the same. 13. Yeah, see, yeah. This here. Yeah, what is it, 20?
15, 28, and 28.
Those are opposites. Okay? Now, what I mean by that, why that happened is, what I'm saying here, my rising sign, okay, that started 13 degrees in Aries. It runs 30 degrees. Somewhere here, this ran up to 30 degrees. It changed over into the sign of Gemini while it was still in my first house. Does that make sense? Do you get me? Huh?
one.
Yeah. Maybe I should use a planet. It'd be easier if I use a planet here. Okay. Uranus is 11 degrees in Cancer in my 4th house. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is that Cancer, Uranus is going to click 12 degrees, 13 degrees, 14 degrees, 15. Matter of fact, it was at 28 degrees when it crossed over this line. It was still at 28 degrees. It hadn't quite ran out its, it hadn't quite ran out its 30 degrees. So that means it crossed over into another house.
Right, you still had a little Cancer in the 5th house. That's what you're saying. You still had a little Cancer in the going in the 5th house.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Right.
For 2 degrees.
For 2 degrees. But because it was, Cancer was on this line, that still means Cancer is more in control of this 5th house too. So that means Cancer is actually in control of 2 houses. And I lose my Aries energy, my Leo energy is what you call, we don't want to get too technical, but it's intercepted. That means it's buried. Because then I get, my Leo is here. And then it's my Virgo that gets buried.
Yes.
My Virgo gets buried. Okay? And it's what you call intercepted. It gets buried because the Leo started here, and then Libra will start somewhere in here. That means that my Virgo is somewhere buried in between those two energies. Yes.
Okay, so each sign doesn't necessarily have 30 degrees, it's just the houses have 30 degrees.
No, they both
Have 30
do.
degrees.
But I started at 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, but how can one sign get stuck in a house that only has 30 degrees? If it's 30 degrees too, when it overlaps somewhere?
The houses are, I don't know how to explain that, but the houses are of different sizes. And please don't try to get me to explain that when, we're getting a lot more technical than my non-detailed mind is going to take you, but it is possible for a sign to be integrated within the two, and it has more to do with the size of the houses, and everything. So, but that can happen. Okay.
We'll be able to figure all this out from the notebook, right?
Yeah.
As we go.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I'm kind of like, I'm trying to follow on this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Maybe
okay.
the degrees is not something,
yeah, I mean,
you want to get into that right now?
Well, no, I mean, I'm just trying to give you, I think you
That
guys.
where the cups will come in at?
Yeah, that's why I tried to explain the cups and everything. But I think you guys are trying to get a little more
Right.
technical than you really need to. It's not like you're going to be actually drawing up, calculating charts here. Take my word for it, okay? 30 degrees for each sign, 30 degrees for each house, okay? Okay? So yes, there can be overlap, and there can be intercepted houses, okay? And then, where was I? Venus. So, okay, so that's why, see, what happened here is that, you see, that's this Libra energy, Scorpio energy. Yeah. See, what happened was, it crossed over. This is Scorpio. Okay. And it crossed over as Scorpio, but then it was 20 degrees, so that means it only had 10 more degrees before it ran out when it got into my 8th house. And that's when the Sagittarius took over. And that's where my Venus was sitting 7 degrees in Sagittarius in my 8th house after it had ran out of its Scorpio energy. You understand? Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I have 2 Sagittarian planets in 2 different houses. Okay. Okay. And then the next is Mars, and mine is, my Mars is in Libra, and it's at like 24 degrees in Libra. Let's see. Now, remember what I said about your physical body? Mars represents your physical body more than any other planet, see? And in one of these books I was reading, this one here, that this one here breaks down. This one here, if you know your time of birth, you can find out your rising sign. I had this on the book list, you guys.
What's
This is a
that?
valuable tool.
Write your own horoscope.
Right, writing your own horoscope. And what happens is that it'll actually tell you, it'll break down what it means to have my ascendant in Aries. What does it mean to have my Mars in Libra? What does it mean to have my Sun in Capricorn? Or, well, everybody will tell you that, what it means to have your Sun. But where are your other planets? This will tell you what it means to have your planets, the other planets, in what sign, see? And in mine, it was saying if you have Mars in Libra, then it says you're attractive now. That's not me. I'm too modest to say that, but this is an indication, because what did I say about Libra energy? It's the attractive people. So if Mars represents your physical being and mine sits in Libra, that would give me my attractiveness when it comes to your physical body. See? Does that make sense? Okay? Okay. So if you want to know about your how you are physically, look at your Mars. Okay? And this is really in its fall because it's in its opposite, isn't it? Mars rules Aries.
Right.
See? Which means that that's your fighting energy, and it's sitting in the sign of peace.
Yeah.
Get it? So I would probably be, I will be subtle in the way that I fight. Yeah.
Justice, right.
Yeah, I'll be subtle in the way that I fight. I want to make sure that I fight fairly, So those are like two opposite concepts, coming together. See? So just trying to get you the feel of it. This is all I'm trying to do, get you the feel of how these energies work here. And then the next one after Mars would be Jupiter. And mine is, now here we go again. Now mine is in the 12th house, but it's at 6 degrees Aries. Now you see why? It didn't cross over till 13 degrees. See? Didn't cross over till 13 degrees, so 6 degrees Aries would still be in the 12th house. Which means I'm dealing a lot with my subconscious. Remember, the Jupiter is the great expander. Expands on everything, spiritual wisdom. So that means I'll be dealing with a lot of spiritually wise, concepts within my subconscious. Okay. As a matter of fact, when I was a little child, I used to pray for wisdom. Didn't know why. Didn't understand why, but, it was always in my prayers. Let me have wisdom, But it was meant to be. That's what I was, being activated or influenced to do. Okay? Anytime. So, and then the next is Saturn. And I also have a Libra Saturn. And that's like at 14 degrees. That's 14 degrees. And this means that, remember what I told you, wherever you find your Saturn at is where you have your life's lesson. That's going to be my hardest struggle, is dealing with partnerships. That's where my life struggle. That's where I'm going to be tested the most, but that's where it's going to mean the most. See? So, that's what it means. And then we have, next after that is, I already put it down here, Uranus. And Cancer. And wherever you find Uranus is where you're going to find the most unique situation. So, my home life. I had a very unique home life. Very unique. Very different. Unusual. That's what that indicates. Wherever you find Uranus, that's where you're going to find your uniqueness at, you know, what is different. And then after Uranus is Neptune, and mine sits in the middle of here in Libra at 21 degrees.
Wow, your Libra is big.
Yeah. You know, that's what you call a what is a stellium, when you have 3 or more in one sign.
And what does that mean?
Just means that that's a major energy point for you. Major focus, you know, major area of prominence.
Partnerships.
Partnerships, you know. So, and then the last one.
Before you go on,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean?
Oh, Neptune,
Yeah.
there
In Libra?
in Libra, and I think I had kind of demonstrated this once before when we were talking about your partner. When you want to know who you attract and who you're attracted to, you look at your Venus. Mine is in Sagittarius, so I'm looking, and as a matter of fact, my ex-husband of 25 years is a Sagittarius. See, so that's what you're gonna see. All this is you. And you attract who you are, what you put out. This is energy I put out, so it's what I'm going to bring back to me. See? It represents who I am, and those are the signals I'm putting out. So when we talk about Neptune, so like I said, you look at your Venus to find out about your relationships, who you're attracted, who you're attracted to, your traits. You know, they call Sagittarius the bachelor sign. You know, they're wild, free, you know, free-spirited, you know. It's hard to tie them down, you know. See, they call them the bachelors or bachelorettes. But then after you look at your Venus, you look at your 7th house. Because that's the house of partnership. So whatever sign is sitting on that cups gives you the trait of the partner you're looking for.
That's that right there.
Uh-huh.
So you're looking for Saturn?
No, I'm looking for the sign. I'm looking for someone with Libra qualities.
Oh, a good-looking dude.
Yeah, the good-looking dude.
Attractive.
Yeah, the fair. Yeah.
I thought you meant Saturn. It's
No,
like,
but
wow, like you're right.
now the planets, like Sister was asking me about, the planets give you some more indications of what's going on there. Now, I do want somebody aggressive because my Mars is there.
Right.
You know, and I do want someone, and then sexual, let's not forget sexual here. I do want somebody spiritual. I do want someone spiritual. Okay, spiritual. Because Neptune is there. And Neptune deals with spirituality.
Yeah.
But it can also indicate
Deception, right?
deception. So I can delude myself when it comes to partnerships. I can fool myself, or I can be easily fooled, or I can fool someone else. I can fool my partner. You know, I can put up this deception when it comes to my partner. You know, so it depends on how you use that energy. Either I want somebody spiritual, or I want somebody, you know, or like, okay, you know, it could bring some unfavorable. You know, some unfavorable things there. And then the Saturn would say that I want somebody steady.
A black man.
That's right. That's right. You know, and
Revolutionary.
as a matter of fact, they say Saturn is in its exaltation in Libra. It's exalted in Libra. That means it works at its finest in Libra. Okay, so. That's justice and harmony. Because if we're going to equate Saturn with the black people, then what are we bringing to this world if it's not harmony and justice and fairness? See, we're exposing the injustice.
Right.
Right. Okay. And then the last one is by Pluto, and that's in Leo at 21 degrees. And let's see, Pluto, see, the farther out we go on the planets, the more it becomes a generational thing. That means those in my generation would also have a Pluto, a Leo Pluto, okay? And that would probably be true even for Neptune. Most people in my age range would also have a Libra Neptune, okay? It just depends on what house it's sitting in. You know, that makes the difference. Yes?
You know, that's deep that you said that, and it's how the world is, like a certain, like you had your generation of the 60s. All people had that same karma.
Right, absolutely. And that's what this book here, Planets and Signs, it will show you, it'll show you what generation, you know, what it means to have, which generation has whatever their Pluto and Leo, it'll tell you what that generation's charge is, you know, for whatever planet. So,
Is that on the list?
no, you know what, that wasn't on the list. You can add that to the list, Planet and Signs. It's planet is SKYE. Sky.
Sky.
Alexander. Okay. And that will be true for Pluto, which is the farthest out, and Neptune, which is the next farthest out. Now, you may get some, some flex here in Uranus, but depending, probably within the, in a certain range, you have the same, because they move the slowest. The planets that are farthest out, it takes the longer to affect you, okay? And, in other words, it just takes it the longer to unfold. But that's the more long range change, the more ingrained, the more thorough change. You understand? And then you have your inner planets. Anything inside of Saturn is your inner planets. And those are the faster moving planets, and those you see more readily. You see their influences more readily. The moon is the closest, so your emotions, you see that happen more quickly than Pluto, which is your deep psychological, intense changes. See? It depends on how quickly the planet moves. You understand? So, yeah, that would be the same for the generations. And and the moon is what, speaking of the moon, that's the type of woman that most men are looking for. Whatever moon a man's sign is in, it indicates the woman that they, whatever moon that a man.
So if the moon and Venus is in the same place, that would,
that means you would really be in tune with the same type of woman that you find attractive,
Huh?
You said whatever house
Like
or
him,
sign.
right? He'd be a
For what?
The moon.
No, whatever sign.
The moon sign.
Whatever sign that the moon is in indicates a man's ideal woman. Ideal woman. And
But what happened to the 7th house?
Those the traits.
her
you're looking
Libra is
for,
just
right?
four.
yeah, you bring all that together.
Oh, okay.
Everything counts, but that's just a little quirk to look at when you. And you know what? I've done thousands and thousands of charts, and I am always amazed at how many times when I do a chart, that person's mate falls in that sign. They fall in their Venus, whatever their Venus is in. I have found so many mates that fell in their Venus sign. It just amazes me. It amazes me, but that's how often they happen. Yes. You just saw that, didn't you?
So you mean they're
Me, I told you I was married to a Sagittarius for 25 years. That was before I even knew about this.
Oh, wow.
But Sister MyRa,
Yeah.
you said, but we are supposed to look into the house of partnership. That's the perfected partner that we want. Whatever sign is in the house of partnership. But most of the time we get wherever the Venus falls in. Whatever house the Venus falls in
The first thing you look at
is where the Venus
is
falls.
the Venus.
So that's really the.
That's the yeah.
Okay.
That's the first thing. But like I told you with astrology, fingerprints not nothing on an astrological chart because there's just so many things you can dig into. You can start there. That's where you would start. But there's no end to what you could look at. You understand? And then think about bringing all that together. You know, like my Venus works in harmony with my moon. We haven't got to that. That's in a couple of weeks lessons. And when the part here where it says bringing it all together, the balancing part, week 6. You know, then you're going to start seeing what we call trines, conjunctions, sextiles.
Right.
You know, in other words, planets form certain angles to each other. You know, if you form, what is it, let's say a 60-degree angle is a sextile. And that's excitement. That means when two planets are operating at a 60-degree angle, there's excitement between the two. See? And when two planets are operating in a 120-degree angle, which is what is happening with let's see, what's happening here? That's happening with my Saturn and my Moon. That's harmonious. That means, you know, there's some good opportunity when these two interact. You know, that's a harmonious relationship. They're working in harmony with each other. And so it depends on the degree. If you got 90-degree angle, that's when you get the friction. That's the reason when I was talking about those crosses, we had nothing but opposition and friction, because the same modes are always going to be at a 90-degree angle. Like my rising sign is a cardinal, which is Aries. My sun sign is cardinals, which is Capricorn. They're at that 90-degree angle. They're going to be at friction with each other. Just like my Capricorn is going to be in friction with my Libra, because that's another cardinal sign. And then that's going to be in friction with the Cancer. The Cancer is going to be in friction with the Aries. And then the Aries is going to be in opposition with the Libra. And the Cancer is going to be in opposition with the Capricorn. That's why we get those crosses. When I talked about why that fixed cross was so important. Because when all those planets were sitting in that fixed cross, that's the cross of suffering and purging. That was suffering and purging for the world. The world was getting ready to go through all that friction and opposition. That's all those planets were sending out. Frictions and opposition.
And that's what's going to happen in May?
That's what happened in August the 11th.
That's what's happening.
Was that doing the
reversal?
The Columbine thing?
Columbine.
Yeah.
That's what
All
we
of it.
all of it.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yes. That was the activator, you know. And then, like I said, each time that the sun moves into one of those fixed legs, then the element that sign represents will be how it'll show up in nature. You know, like it started in in Leo, which is fire. So we had the heat wave. Y'all remember?
Right.
Heat wave. We had the fires, the California, burning down half of California. The gun, like I said, the Columbine, the shots, the gunfire, the fire. You know, the guy the stockbroker.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It went off.
That was August.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, or end of July. Or the very end of July, which is still Leo energy. You know, Leo energy, which is, fire. And then when it moved into Scorpio, in November, then we got the water. Because that's the floods, But a curious thing, I've been checking it out, and I've been trying to time it, and I've noticed that it takes about 2 months to really unfold. You understand? When it clicks in, then give it about 2 months, and you'll start seeing those things really start happening. You really will start seeing them happening.
I mean, like 2 months after August, that's when it really.
That's when you're really, that's about the time it took for the energy to really, fester and really come out. See? So don't try to see immediate. See? Especially when you're looking at your natal chart, because this indicates your internal. Your progress chart that I mentioned before will show you more about what's happening today. Okay? That'll show you more about what's happening today when you look at your progress chart. But when you're looking at your natal chart, don't expect to see, some immediate, give it a space, give it a, and the farther it's out, the bigger the influence, the longer it's going to take for you to actually see it happening. Okay? So, and the closer it is, the more surface it is, the more readily you'll see it happening. Okay? So, and then Chiron, I want to mention my Chiron, which sits on my midheaven line. And it's in Capricorn, which is the wounded healer, where somehow you were wounded in your birth, not birth, excuse me, in your childhood, and how you heal from those wounds. There'll be a way that you will show others how to heal from those same type of wounds. And Capricorn, Saturn, blackness. I was injured because of my complexion. Okay, I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, snowman land, People ask me, do they got black folks in Nebraska?
Wasn't Malcolm X?
That's the same thing I tell them. Malcolm X was born there. Yes.
You've heard of the astrology of the Magi?
Of the Magi? It kind of sounds like what I was reading out of the...
They have a web page, and they said that where your Chiron is located is where your soulmate is.
Is that right? Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Well, how would you find your Chiron?
It's going to be when you calculate your chart, it's going to show up. It'll show up, okay? And it's also on, you'll find it in the ephemeris. If you figure in your chart from that, you can look up in your ephemeris and find it.
What symbol is that?
Huh?
That's
What
what
symbol
we
is
came
that?
with
What symbol would the Chiron be?
It's
Or just a K?
With a K with a circle underneath. And getting back to this, so that was my problem. It's my complexion, growing up in snowman land, growing up in white area. So I suffered because of my color. But that's the wounds, how I heal from those wounds, that's the energy I'm going to use to help others see, how to heal from those same type of wounds. You understand? See how all that works, So, you have a question?
No.
Okay. So, and then the only thing else, okay, with the midheaven, which we mentioned, the midheaven is your most public domain, and mine is also in Capricorn, and spiritual destiny, which is, mine is in Pisces, at, I think it's 1 degree in Pisces. See? And your spiritual destiny is the scariest part. Always opposite your spiritual destiny, which would be Virgo for me, 1 degree Virgo, is what you call your mundane, your most mundane part. It's the part, it's where you come from. It's where you're coming from, and your spiritual destiny is where you're headed. See? So I learned my lessons of Virgo, in another life somewhere. Now coming to this life, now I'm heading toward the Pisces, fulfillment.
So you said where is the spiritual destiny? In the 12th house?
Mine is in the 12th house in Pisces. Okay?
So how would you?
That's also calculated.
Like Leo, that one right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
The symbol, here's the symbol here.
Yeah, it's right there. 25 degrees.
Okay? And what happens is, and now, yes, and that's what, and see, when you get this, now that's my complete chart, and when you get this set up, when you get your chart set up, what happens is that you start, those angles I was talking about, you start seeing how things operate with each other at those angles, and those are what gives you your personality charts, you see. See, I have a lot of oppositions, I got opposition Sun and Uranus. I got oppositions Libra and Mars. Libra and Aries. I got the opposition of even my Moon and my Venus. Gemini and Sagittarius. So that just gives me good access into balancing. you know, because remember, balancing opposites is what makes you whole, you know. But there's a lot of in-betweens, like I was talking about, those sextiles and those trines and those squares, you know. Those are things, those are little in-betweens till you get to that opposition, you know, to make that fullness and that wholeness, see. So as these planets interact with each other, that's what forms up your personality traits. That's what forms up your personality traits, okay? Like the first astrologer I went to, she said, your sun is like at a three-way stop sign, you know, because you have your Aries energy is blocking it, your Libra energy is blocking it, you know, and then you've got your opposition with your Cancer energy. So as my sun tries to get out, all these things are interfering. See? But my job is to learn how to integrate those energies, you know, and make them work, make them all work together so that I can come full and whole, you know, so that there's nothing that can be sent at me that I can't deal with, you know, so I can deal with all of them. And then as we get into the transit planets, what happens is, like I said, they'll be circling. All these planets will be circling. And as they circle, they'll trigger. You know? Say if something comes around, one of the transits comes around at 6 degrees Jupiter, 6 degrees Aries, they activate my Jupiter. You know, and whatever my Jupiter do, my Jupiter is in opposition to my Saturn. See? So once my Jupiter gets activated by a transit, then it causes, you know, that energy goes over there to my 7th house and it causes some interaction there, which is an opposition. It'll cause me to open up to what's going on over here. And so, you know, that's how when you think about the crystal we've been talking about, when we talk about the stars, that's where the twinkle comes in at. If you can imagine, this is energy, you know, and something hits here, zing, it zings here, then it zings here, zings up here, you know, because it really, 3 things need to happen in order for you to really see, in order for something to really be unfolding, you know. It's just not enough to have something hit your sun and it just, okay, I feel ya, you know, and it's done, you know. It's not enough, you know. That has to start off a chain reaction. And that's where the twinkle, twinkle, if you can imagine, that's energy, like a twinkling star or something. Something's been activated.
So, I got a question. What if the transits hit your 11th house? Your 11th house where there's nothing there, your house of groups and friends. And
then that just gives me, you know, then
you're going to want to meet people.
Right, I can draw on that, see. And someone asked me in one of the classes about if you have nothing in your 11th house, does that mean, and it does mean, that's kind of a sad thing, because it just means, 11th house is your house of friends, groups, and activity. If you have nothing there, that means that you probably didn't receive very much validation, you know, as a child. That you were kind of off on your own, that no one, you didn't have very many friends, you didn't have, and then when the transit hits that area, then that opens up that energy to where you can access that energy and pull some friends or pull some group activity in.
But that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, right?
Well, actually none of it's bad, it just means growth. And growth is friction. Growth is not easy, okay?
So your 11th house is the opposite of your creative house. Is that right? Your 5th house?
Right.
Is that right?
Right. Yes.
Is that spiritual destiny sign, is that similar to the same as the North Node? Or?
Yes, that is. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's the North Node, okay? Okay, that's it. I mean, we cutting out on the program. Homework assignment. We're going to now. Well, this is going to cut off. But what I want you to do Now, I told you I was gonna have you put your planets in those houses. Did you guys bring your charts and you?
Yeah.
Okay, what you should have, like you said, you should have the red. You should have red in the first house. You should have yellow or orange in the second. Okay, you should have, you should have green.
Green.
I was like,
Oh, man.
Okay. Green, yellow or orange. Okay, blue. And then that should continue to repeat, okay? Now what I want you to do, I know I told you I was going to have you put your planets, but what I want you to do now, on the side of that chart, I want you to start with the sun. And go, and I want you to put the sun and in the color of its element, like the sun, Leo, right?
Right.
So put the sun in red. Go on down the side. On the side. Okay. Can I see your chart here?
Yeah, I just said, that's just what I can say.
Like on the side, right here. I want you to start right. Put a sun here, and then like this. Put the sun in red. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then
And then put the sun.
put sun. Okay. And I want you to go down. Boom.
Oh, you mean elements, with the elements still.
With the
Okay. Then what I want you to do is just go down. You got the sun, the moon, and then you've got
Rising sign.
don't worry about the rising sign.
planets,
Mercury.
Yeah, the planets. Yeah. Then you got Mercury,
Mars.
Venus,
Venus,
Wait.
Mars,
Jupiter, Saturn,
Jupiter,
Venus.
Saturn,
Uranus, Neptune.
and I'm running out of room, but come down and do Uranus, Neptune,
Pluto.
and Pluto. I want you to put them on the side where I showed you at, okay? In the color.
So all the planets.
In the color, all the planets. And then on the other side, I want you to put, remember when I put, I want you to write, down in the corner, I want you to write, see what I'm doing?
Oh,
Okay?
Earth.
Green.
Stability, would you say?
Let's stay with the sensitivity.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? You
Okay.
understand?
okay. Yeah.
I want you to write that in the corner down there.
Red or orange would be.
And put it in the
orange
color.
or yellow would be.
Yeah.
Put it all in the color that it indicates here. Okay? And then next week we will start, we will start getting your own charts, putting your own planets in, just like I did here today.
Yeah.
So over there, it would
Okay,
be
so
on the
yellow,
floor.
orange would mean
That's water or air, isn't it?
air, right? But that means
And
mental,
if you
right?
know,
mental.
if you know already, you can start putting your planets in, if you want, if you know. And put them in the color. Put them
On the chart?
Put
or on
the,
the
wait,
side?
now listen to this. Put the planet in the color that, like it would be.
It is, right.
Right here. But it's going to fall in a different sign. And you put the sign in the color of its own sign. You understand? Like if you have your Pluto in Leo, the Pluto should be blue,
Red.
but the sign should be red.
Right.
You got that? No? You don't? But don't worry about that. I said if you want
And
to.
the
But that's why I'm having you do what you're doing now,
Right.
to be ready
you
for
had
that.
to do yours right. didn't you? The blue had to be spirituality, right? The water that represents
No.
spirituality.
Emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah. That's the element of the soul, as a matter of fact.
Deceit.
Oh. Huh?
Deceit.
Yeah, water's
Blue is the
emotions,
color
air
of
is
the sea.
sensitivity.
Yeah, right.
it is.
Because the sky is
Earth is
blue and it's not
sensitivity.
really blue.
And fire's
And
sensitivity.
so is the ocean. They think it's blue and it's not really blue. It is deception. And if you're
So that should be the
Neptune,
Neptune thing.
Neptune is water. Okay, and that's the planet of deception.
Spirituality or
Right.
something. Yeah.
So all that'll start falling. What?
Go ahead. So on the bottom
Okay.
left.
So over here on the left hand side, we want us to go with all the houses, go right around.
No, see, all you should have is four things.
That's what I was
Yeah.
asking. Okay.
In the corner there. Okay. And that's it, you guys. That's the you know